Now apparently Windows 10 works on this machine, and but Windows 11 won't work. Currently, I'm making the Windows 11 recovery media on a thumb drive. So, and I'll show you how I install Windows 11 on here. On here. So let's first start by installing drivers. Let's see, troubleshooting our driver issue, because it seems to me that there's some sort of driver issue on this computer, and I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's a RAID driver, maybe it's some sort of weird driver conflict. So we'll try the AMD driver. We'll try like these drivers. I think it's a graphics card driver because I have one of these cards and this machine, and that's a Ryzen 7 PC. Very old. At this point, that's probably old. So I want to try out installing the chipset drivers to see if these would trip the system. And I don't think it's a chipset issue, because like you would think that these would be worked on by this point in time. And so I'm going to try and reinstall Windows 11 on here. Oh, restart required. Man, I haven't used Windows 10 in so fucking long. You want to see something? Boom! This is so fucking old. It's just funny. It's just really funny. And so now we've got Windows 11 on here that we got to put on here once we get the graphics card drivers on here. And it just boots really fast. See, look at that old boot screen. Oop! I guess I doxed myself. And so we have put our chipset drivers on here. So let's try our graphics card drivers. It's going to ask me to log in. I will log in whenever I feel like it. These should work with Windows 10. I would assume that they will work with Windows 10. Because, you know, this would be the Windows 11. These are the Windows 11 drivers. But I'm pretty sure these will work with Windows 10. Additional options. See, this is the card that was just giving me issues. And we're doing like a fresh install of drivers, so hopefully these don't give me issues. I'm hoping that I can install these. So I'll let it do the whole driver installation, and then we'll see if we can put Windows 11 on the computer once this is done. Because Windows 11 should be installing. This is a Ryzen 7 3700X. Should be compatible. Oh yeah, now it's installing our driver, our proper drivers. Call of Duty. And you always kind of want to go in this drivers section to see what kind of drivers are causing issues. Yeah, there we go. I mean, I can configure the family settings. I think we're done. It's funny because those are supposedly and so this is kind of like Catalyst. If you've ever used like ATI's drivers and back in the day, Catalyst drivers back in the day, ATI's Catalyst drivers back in the day, Adrenaline Edition is this. The AMD software Adrenaline Edition is kind of like that. So hopefully we'll see if the thumb drive gets done. If not, then I'll just make an installation CD for Windows 11. I mean, that's probably not a bad thing to have. I think you might be able to upgrade Windows 10 to Windows 11. You might be able to do that. So I'll be right back. Now that our installation media is done, it's gonna go and do that. Go here, remove. See if we see it there. Nope, we don't. So what are we gonna do? Right there. Yeah, the other drive that I had was not working for whatever reason. Hopefully that doesn't. Ew, this is hot. Castlevania. So let's plug her in. But before I do anything, I'm going to unplug that. I'm going to unplug that other hot thumb drive. So we're going to go here. See, this is how you know you're running an old ass version of Windows. It's like, yeah, I do not like Windows 10. I freaking hate Windows 10. It's a really garbage operating system. So we got our thumb drive. There's a million things which can go wrong, will go wrong, as we plug the thumb drive in, and maybe try and run the setup here. Maybe we can effectively upgrade. Yeah, we can actually upgrade, just like we can on old versions of Windows. Checking for updates. Going to let it do. And this is actually something that I've had Windows 11 on this computer before. I think it's just the video card doesn't. I think it's the Windows 11's video card driver might be the issue. So let's see what if we can get it on here, because it was working when I had my previous installation on here, and it was just some weird hiccup. And I don't really like that. So maybe I might have to put Windows 10 on here before I can put Windows 11 on here. Which is really stupid. This is stupid. Like, honestly, it is seriously that stupid. It is seriously that stupid that you have to go through all this hassle of putting an old ass operating system on your computer in order, an old ass operating system on your computer in order to install Windows 11. And also, and mind you, install all your drivers first for doing any of this, because it won't be much of a change if you don't do that. This is really one of the most annoying aspects of using modern, of totally wasn't this way back in the day. Totally didn't have issues like this back in the day. You did. Spoiler alert, you did. It's like Fallout. War never changes. Or is it or is it Metal Gear Solid? War always changes. There's always some sort of contradiction between those two. It's either one of those for whatever reason. I don't know. Let's hope that this works. So hopefully it works and it doesn't kick an error. Because I will have a conniption if Windows 11 doesn't work. Yes, it's getting ready to do it. See, Windows is getting ready, and we'll see if I have a heart attack because I can't get this to work. Because, oh no, heaven forbid you want to run the latest version. And I know this CPU is supported by Microsoft. So I know it's new enough. This is a computer from 2020 and it should be able to run Windows 11. I ran it on here the last time I had it on here. I upgraded from Windows 10 Home to Windows 11 Home. I know that Windows 11 runs on here. If I can't get this Windows 11 to run on to install on here, I might just as well upgrade to Windows 11 Pro. Track down an original installation disk copy of this, and pay the ungodly amount of money to Microsoft. Heaven forbid you want to run the latest version. It worked the last time. It didn't kick out errors the last time. Well, it did one of those times, which I think it might be an issue with some other piece of hardware in this computer for all I know. The heaven forbid it work, or maybe Microsoft doesn't like AMD because they're a bunch of dickheads that are Intel pro Nvidia fanboys. But seriously, this is stupid. This is stupid. This is just dumb. This is ridiculous. That I have to go and do this. I have to install Windows 10 just to do this. Fuck computers. I hate them. Let's see if we can track down. See if we can track down a physical copy of this, because I have an actual physical disc. Pro upgrade. Oh no, I want the OEM system build. Wow, the OEM system builder's copy for $446. Maybe I should buy that, and hopefully there's an actual disc intended for a new PC, or I can upgrade it for 99 bucks. I thought about just upgrading this for 99 bucks and just trying that out. But I'd rather buy an OEM system builder's disc for it and get an actual physical disc. If you can get a physical disc for it. Can you get an actual physical disc for this? I wonder, does it include a physical disc? If you get the OEM copy. I'm just going to go ahead and upgrade this to Windows 11 Pro, and I wonder if you can install Windows 11 10 Pro on a Windows 11 Pro PC. I wonder if that they translate between each other. The product keys, that is. But it gives you only the digital copy. But, you know, I might as well put Windows 11. I might as well just upgrade it to Windows 11 Pro. Because it'll probably just recognize it as Windows 11 Pro. And I should be running Windows 11 Pro on this machine. Because that's what I have on my laptop. And let's see if we burst the blood vessel. See if we burst the blood vessel. Because this is the moment of truth. Let's see if it's a driver issue. If it's either like the AMD chipset drivers, or if it's the AMD graphics drivers. And let's see if it'll crash. It's gonna crash. Or is it? It's actually working? Is it actually working now? Thank you, Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I could have tried this like months ago, and it would have probably worked. I just didn't have the freaking time to play around with this shit. Like, who fucking wants to sit there having to troubleshoot your computer? Like, fuck that shit. Like, nobody have time for that. And now we have the issue. So interesting. So I thought we'd fix the issue, but we didn't fix the issue. So the issue has to do with something on the hardware. Obviously, we didn't fix anything. We are now attempting to recover undue changes made to PC. So now I'm probably going to be stuck with Windows 10 on here. So I wonder if there's some weird issue with the computer now. That's so weird. Now I'm stuck with Windows 10 on this computer. It sucks. It just sucks. Might have to look up see if there's a Windows 10 key, Pro key or something. I bet you those have already been bought up or something. Yeah, they're bought. You're not going to be able to get Windows 10 on here. And now we know for sure that we can't run Windows 11 on this computer. So, yeah, that's bizarre. That's freaking bizarre, man. That's just bizarre. I guess I'm stuck with Windows 10 on here then. I guess it's not a big deal, even though it is a big deal, because I wish I'd put a Pro license on here, so I didn't have to do like log into like an account. So I have to look that error up and troubleshoot that one, because I know it's not an issue with the drivers. Like, I installed the most recent drivers and then tried the Windows 11 installer, and it worked, and it didn't work. So I know that it's some sort of weird issue with Windows 11 on this computer. Like, I've always had issues with Windows 11 on this computer. It's enough to make me go. It's enough to make me have a stroke or something trying to get this stuff to work. Till next time, peace out, everyone. So now let's try this build of Windows 11. Let's try this older build of Windows 11. So yeah, now we should be able to just install the upgrade from here. And see if it does it here, because I already installed all my drivers on here again, and we're of course doing this in Windows 10 again, trying it out again. I had to disconnect my. I wanted to make sure to disconnect my connection before I did any. Before I did this, so let's try it again. Lucky for me. Let's try to run it from the DVD. And I don't want it to download any updates whatsoever, because I really don't want it to download any updates. Not right now. But you can actually go into the setup and tell it to do that. But we don't want it to do any of that anyway. We'll just disconnect it from the network anyway. It's a good idea. And we'll just see what it does later. I had no luck. We'll try it again with that ISO that I downloaded. Try it again. And we'll just first unplug the computer from the network before we do anything, because we're not going to want to have network access whatsoever. And we'll try it again. Because I'm kind of like, this should work. We'll boot into there we go. So we'll see that our boot device will change that to that. Let's try this. Let's try using that. It'll, like, I don't know if I'm going to need to get a new motherboard. I don't know if I'm going to need to get another motherboard or something at some point. I might as well just rebuild it. Had so many issues with this. So let's try this again. Yay, that kind of gave me a little bit of a heart attack. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and boot that install. And we're going to try this. We can do skip TPM, but we'll just do that. We'll load that, see if this installs. I've disconnected from the network, so that way I can actually do a clean install and actually install this. Unless this is some weird flick up revolving around Windows. It's weird and I don't like this. So now the installer comes up. So let's try this again. Let's go into the setup. I do have a key on here. Windows 11 Home. And here we go. Let's try it again. Go to accept, customize, delete, 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 delete partitions. So let's try it again. And hopefully it works. Fuck, I had to use an older build of this. And it finally works. It finally boot into it. And then we'll probably install, then we'll pretty much install the drivers on here. US. We don't have an internet connection. So you know what? I'll hook that up right now. Or maybe not. We won't do that. There's a command that you can use to circumvent this kind of crap. Now I remember how to do this. Shift F10. There we go. OOBE. 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 It's bypass NRO. We can actually create a that'll allow us to bypass our user instruction crap, so that way we can avoid telemetry nonsense. Yep, that's what it looks like. And I finally got it to boot. United States. So that's I had it all down. US. So I had it all. I don't have an internet connection. Yeah, this is use limited setup instead. Oh yeah, so I had it all right. This is the advantage of So set all this stuff up and we'll be right back. Windows 11 is actually working now. And we can go... See, it's working. So I don't know what is going on with the current build of Windows 11. But it's some weird issue. So you can see that we actually have Home Edition. We don't have our internet connection plugged in yet, right now. Because we need to update our drivers before Windows automatically downloads the updates. Because if this is like some weird like issue with modern Windows 7 drivers, like I don't know what the hell is going on here. I don't know if they updated the drivers on Windows 11, but it's just annoying. At least we'll have the ability to deal with our chipset drivers, so let's install those first. And you've seen this before. I'll wait, and then I'll install the video drivers on here as well, and then we'll update Windows 11. Now I'm going to install the video drivers, and hope to God that we can at least update this. I wanted to make sure I install all the drivers, or at least most of the drivers on here, before we do anything of the sort, because I just want Windows 11 on here. And maybe this is what it took to get it finally on this computer. I waited months on end, not being able to do this. Hopefully that it doesn't do any kind of freakery that I don't want to go through. Maybe it'll work properly now. I don't know. Let's hope that we get... What the hell? Oh, that's interesting. So our network card. So there's something wrong with that network card, I guess? I think it might have been my dedicated network card that was giving us issues, which is wild. That's so freaking wild. That's wild. My dedicated network card was causing the issues all this freaking time. It wasn't doing it in Linux. It was working fine in Linux. It wasn't working fine here. Damn, that's so bizarre. So let's go to gonna like adjust the time. Here specific. Wow, that's amazing. It's 10 o'clock. Sync now. There we go. So I'll let it do this stuff. So it was the frickin' network card this entire time. Fancy that, we actually troubleshooted the problem. But we're gonna have a ton of updates. We're going to have a ton of updates, so I'll let it do all that the entire night. But that is freaking wild. All it took was to install a build, an early build of Windows 11, and that actually allowed us to figure out that we have a piece of hardware, our network, our dedicated network card that's on here is giving us issues. Activation status. Good. I will actually be upgrading this to Pro then. You know, this is going to probably mean I might need to put a new network card on here. So at least now I know it's what the problem actually was. It was the network card that it was the dedicated network card. It was the dedicated network card that you see right there that was giving me issues. So now I'm using my onboard, which I've had issues with that onboard in the past. So now that I know what was going on with it, I'm hoping that I have solved more issues on this computer. Allow me to explain what was going on with the machine. So you can see that an IRQ not less or equal error, which is one of the things that errors that I was getting as well, indicates either a bad driver or a system component tried to access an invalid memory address, typically caused by outdated, corrupt device drivers, faulty RAM, or corrupt system files. Interesting. And that's why I was testing the RAM out, because there was a possibility that RAM could be bad, even though I also ran Garuda Linux on here. And Garuda Linux, like any of the Linux distribution, might also complain about the memory as well. Heaven forbid I installed Windows 10 on here, and that worked fine. So that couldn't be memory issues. There couldn't be memory issues whatsoever. And we can see a bunch of stuff. Resetting the BIOS defaults. I didn't do that, but I knew that it wouldn't be that because I updated the BIOS, and that should have fixed all that. So this was one of the other errors that I was getting. You might have seen this error. And yet again, this has to do with outdated drivers, and also memory. So it's not really, and also memory issues. This was also one of the other errors that I was getting during the installation process for Windows 11. And what it boiled down to was me having to update my drivers. I actually had to go into Device Manager and look at the driver version, and I need to update that driver at some point. I needed to go into Device Manager and update my network interface drivers. So this was the device that was giving me issues. And so I updated the driver and it fixed the issue. So I pretty much went to the manufacturer website for this dedicated network interface controller, or a NIC, if you want to know what that means. And I downloaded this driver, and I went into and I extracted the files. I went here, went to browse computer, and you can see that I went to that link and to that directory, and I installed the drivers. So I haven't seen a problem like this since Windows 98. So we've gone from the stability of Windows NT 4.0 to the instability of Windows 98.
So we could just daisy chain up to 127 USB devices here. That's an everyday task. Let's plug it in. It's going to say, hey, I see you've plugged in a new device. And it's going to load in the appropriate drivers. You'll notice that this scanner build, whoa. Moving right along.
That must be why we're not shipping Windows 98 yet.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We still got a little work to do here.
How wonderful. How freaking wonderful Microsoft has gone backward. They've gone backward, and it's like they couldn't have designed a ever so great and awesome operating system than this. Way to go, Microsoft. You did a really good job with your OS. I remember when Windows NT was the operating system that Microsoft vigorously tested hardware on to make sure that it actually worked. This was supposed to be the operating system that marked the new generation of operating systems. But now it's just become another MS-DOS, a Windows 9X mess of garbage that they haven't even cleaned up in decades. It's just gotten progressively worse since Windows 8. And Windows 8, mind you, was not a bad operating system. That was a decent operating system. It was basically Windows 7 without the start menu. Windows 10 was really where I thought Microsoft went downhill. Because I really think Windows 10 was where they really started to go down in quality. Like the start menu interface was very clunky. The settings bar was very clunky. See, this is at least one thing I can say about Windows 11 is that here I can find things a lot easier in here. It's way more simplified here. And I can go to various devices. I can find everything that I need to find here. I can find everything that I need to find here, and I can look at what I need to do. See, this is a lot more simplified. At least they've got that down. As long as they continue to keep the control panel, where I can go here and I can, because I'm so used to doing this, it's old school enough, and it's also much easier way of one of the. Not a much easier way of accessing Device Manager, but it's another path for that. I keep some legacy stuff on here. It's not like Windows 11 is a bad operating system. It's got some advantages that Windows 10 really lacked, and I just you could see the Windows 10 interface was very clunky compared to Windows 11. When we kind of looked at the Windows 11 interface, I think that was shown in this video. You should look it up. It's really if you've never seen it before.
The daily cycle for Windows NT begins when the newest build is released at 6 p.m. As our testing teams settle in for the evening, they install the build on dozens of clients and servers, which simulate the work of hundreds of thousands of users. With this magnitude of a product, automation is the only way to achieve the level of testing required. After they initiate the stress process, team members focus on refining the more than 10 million lines of testing code that serve as the frontline proving grounds for the overall reliability of Windows NT 5. At 5 a.m., the remote diagnostics process begins. The logs for the overnight stress tests are carefully analyzed, then posted on a web page so that any team member can monitor quantitative results at any time. By 9 a.m., the stress and bug reports are sent to team members. At 9:30, team leads representing every system component assemble to prioritize which bugs get fixed that day. Over the next several hours, developers begin making fixes. Before they check in any changes, developers must compile their code using the most recent build, run functional tests, and submit their code to dev leads for a line-by-line review. In the meantime, our hardware labs are busy round the clock sorting out compatibility issues for some 580 OEM systems and more than 3,000 devices. For Windows NT 5, our labs are testing 500 LAN adapters, 1,400 printers, 370 display adapters, and more than 2,600 modems. Every day we add more devices to the test matrix, so that by the time we ship Windows NT 5, we'll have maximum compatibility coverage. Testing continues outside the labs, with teams dedicated to networking, security, and large-scale deployment issues. For example, in Building 26 of the Microsoft campus, the networking group maintains a router based on an early build of Windows NT Server 5 that has run uninterrupted for 6 months. Other teams focus on integration of services, such as virtual private networks, remote access, and the domain naming system. Thanks to new, specialized testing procedures, we have eliminated 45 blue screen bugs and 50 required reboots that existed when Windows NT 4 shipped. We've also fixed more than 400 memory leaks. A number of these fixes will be backported to version 4. Even if the development team fixes every bug our testers find, we won't ship Windows NT 5 until customers say it's ready. The team's daily routine therefore includes conference calls, briefings, and training sessions with key IT customers enrolled in the Rapid Deployment Program. And while the team tests more than 1,000 applications for compatibility, Microsoft's Developer Relations Group works with even more independent software vendors to test and incorporate new services into their products. Back in the lab, approved code changes arrive by 3 p.m., and the team goes to work assembling the new build. Before it's released, the build is installed and tested for integrity. Then it's automatically distributed over the network. And at 6 p.m., as the day's build goes out the door, the process starts all over again.
Bill Gates couldn't even design an operating system, and yet he's going to lecture us on like pandemics and whatnot. Windows NT stood for Windows New Technology. Well, so they tell us. They tell us that it stood for that. That stands for that. You know, like with a lot of things that were considered new technology, eventually people stopped giving a damn, and and they start like not caring about the product as much. That's kind of what Intel and what has happened to Intel in like more recent years, is where Intel was at the top of their game back in the 2010s. By like the 2020s, they dropped off. They became they rose up and then they fell. You know, hubris. And I feel like Microsoft, like Intel, like a lot of things revolutionary, has just become very hubristic. They've become, you know, pride plus arrogance is a very dangerous thing. And especially with something with like Windows, which rules a significant amount of the market share, that's not a good thing. And if their built-in drivers are doing that sort of thing, then that's not a good thing either. Which tells me that just tells me that they're not doing the rigorous testing as they used to do back in the day, and it's a shame. Because as I said before, this is supposed to be Windows new technology. This is supposed to be Windows NT. We were supposed to have moved away from the old, outdated MS-DOS, Windows 9X, Windows 3.1 out, and I feel like I know we moved. It's not even an opinion at this point. It's an objective fact. We've moved backward. We moved backward from what Microsoft used to do. And at least back in the 90s, they were they were at least somewhat competent of a company. Nowadays, they're one of the most incompetent companies. And that's a shame, because they used to have some level of competence in the designing of stuff. It's a real shame. At least Apple is doing significantly better than Microsoft with their M1 CPUs and with their M1 ARM processors, and their laptops are just and desktops are just really top of the line hardware, much better than Windows in a lot of cases. I mean, I'm hoping that Macintosh can actually become a competitor to Windows, an actual real competitor in a lot of the different arenas. Because that would be really great if they could do that. Fuck off, Bill. Just fuck off.
Police and security guards in Belgium were caught flat-footed today by a cowardly sneak attack on one of the world's wealthiest men. The target was Microsoft Chairman Bill Gates, arriving for a meeting with community leaders. Watch what happens when a team of hitmen meet him first with a pie in the face. Gates was momentarily and understandably shaken, but he was not injured. The hit squad piled on with two more pies before one of them was wrestled to the ground and arrested. The others, for at least the moment, got away. Gates went inside, wiped his face clean, and made no comment. He then went ahead with his scheduled meeting. No word on the motive for this attack.